You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode number 388. In this episode, we are recapping the Washington Commanders versus New York Giants Week 2. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. The WNBA playoffs will start this upcoming Sunday. So be prepared to see the series come back again after what I thought was a successful series. One goal, roll to the roll to the championship. It's set in stone, the 8 teams, and one of them is not the Washington Mystics, painfully, but that's okay. We're also, after this episode, recapping the Baltimore Ravens and a loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, painfully, and then tomorrow we'll be recapping the Maryland Terrapins defeating, bouncing back after a very, very interesting week against Villanova. So stay tuned in for that. No, sorry, Virginia, and we get ready to play Villanova. Please forgive me. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest. Joining me on right now is Mr. Sean Spencer.
Woo!
Sean, what's going on, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you been?
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football alongside Janae Strother. Ladies and gentlemen, Herndon's finest, the greatest thing coming out of Herndon, Mr. Sean Spencer. Sean, thank you for taking some time and joining me on the show, buddy.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be back on here, man.
Absolutely. It's been a while. It's been a few episodes. So got to get you on here more often for sure.
Oh, definitely.
So first and foremost, I want to give also a shout out to you and Will Kramer. You guys do Washington Football Weekly.
Yes.
Check that show out, ladies and gentlemen. I implore you. It's a great show, great conversation with Will Kramer and Sean Spencer. There's also another show. It's called the Washington Roundtable with Alex Stevens and Mr. Anton Benton. Mr. Sean Spencer himself. Check that out as always. But also, too, check out the rest of Let's Talk Football family, the Roundtable. That other show, SEC. Well, Let's Talk Georgia Football. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, and then also too next week, Let's Talk Football with Sean and Janae as well. But Sean, let's talk about this. Week 2, it didn't feel like a
win.
A win. Maybe it was a morale boost.
Mm-hmm.
The Washington Commanders beat the New York Giants 21-18. I'm gonna give you the floor on that. What were your thoughts?
Austin Seibert, I love you, man. That you are our team. You are our team. I don't care what anybody says. You came in 7 for 7, did exactly what we needed you to do. Albeit the long was only 45, everything was under under that, but still, we have had such issues with kickers over the last couple weeks. I mean, we just cut K. York. Yes, Austin Seibert, so glad you were able to do it. And shout out to my running backs, man. Brian Robinson, 133 yards, getting it out there. Austin Eckler having a lot of success in the pass game. So, yeah, those are the things I'm excited about in that. But I still am kind of not questioning, but it's still like, how did we get out of that? We shouldn't have won that game.
And most definitely, but and this was kind of one of my takeaways, and I'm going to start with on the negative side, and we'll go into the positives. The one thing that stood out to me in our offense, especially for us, is penalties still pose a big issue for us. I thought this was something that that I thought would have been addressed by Dan Quinn's coaching staff. We approached the red zone 6 times, and there were 5 penalties that I really felt as though what had been I think changed the way the game looked, forcing us to settle for those field goals.
Right.
Yes, we did look good offensively, but touchdowns, especially as you get later into the season, and more importantly, when you're facing rivals, your division rivals, those are important. So I was extremely disappointed with our discipline. But I think, and especially going into Cincy, we have to be better at executing in situational football in the red zone, and especially on first downs. Those are one of my takeaways. Well, what do you got?
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. We and third downs as well. I mean, a lot of times we went for it on fourth a couple times, but we were able to move the ball between the 20s, the 20 and 20. But once we got down the red zone, we were, I believe, 7-14 on third down. We got to be better. I mean, I'm glad we got 7, but and when you look at it, I mean, I think we had like 22 first downs. We beat them in time of possession. We beat them in total yards. All these things. So these are all nice, but if you would have looked at the game, you wouldn't have thought that's what happened. You know what I mean? Like we did not look. Yeah, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and say we did not look good, because Jaden Daniels was moving the ball down the field. Our running game was working very good. Like, I mean, there was a lot of nice things in there, but when it came down to it, when it came to the clutch, when you needed to get a point, we had to settle for field goals. And to your point, that's not gonna cut it against a Dallas or a Philadelphia, and it didn't cut it against Tampa last week.
Nope. And that's also kind of goes into my next point. And you guys touched on this a little bit as well on Watch Football Weekly last night. It starts with our defensive line too. Our defensive line was essentially non-existent. And you kind of have to question these first 2 weeks of the season. Where is the progression? And you and I talked about this earlier this evening. When you've been on bad teams for so long, you start creating these bad habits, and it's almost kind of like looking at a team, like looking at guys. To me, Jonathan Allen's a Pro Bowler. Deron Payne was good in college. These guys are, I think, are good players, but it's just like, what are you doing? I mean, there were times New York won the battle of the line of scrimmage, and especially with Dan Quinn and Dallas with defense, I thought that would have improved. I mean, we allowed them to have 6 yards per rushing attempt. That can't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we gave Singletary Devin Singletary almost had 100 yards rushing on us, and it wasn't for that fumble that he had. I mean, he would have had an immaculate day. Look, and I think you talk about progression. I mean, I thought there was almost a degression from the Tampa game to here, because in the Tampa game, I mean, no, we weren't making the sacks, but we were at least getting to Baker. We were, touching him. We just couldn't bring him down. And so in this one, I mean, they were just gashing us. We literally were the ones that allowed Daniel Jones this was his paycheck game. This is why they paid him for these games against us. He looked good. Malik Neighbors looked good. I mean, it was frustrating to see, because, we got the W, on paper, but I mean, the amount of errors we made, and you talk about that D line, we couldn't get any pressure up front.
Yep.
And then I've always said, if we are front seven, if they're able to get the pressure, and we need them to be able to wreak havoc, because our secondary is so poor at the moment. So we have to be able to get to these quarterbacks, and it's not going to get any easier. You talk about, we got Monday night, we got Joe Burrow. And then Kyler Murray's after that, and Kyler's been balling out. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been balling out. So, it's not going to get any easier on defense. So it's going to be up to our offense to start to make it up, man.
No, and this kind of, I'm going to transition to the positives. This does, I'm going to give the defense as a whole, I'm going to give them some respect. There were some problems we did see from you talk about the degression from Tampa, especially allowing the big plays, particularly on third down, as you stated. But again, like with Malik Neighbors, it's not a positive, it's negative. Like, he ended the game with 127 yards and a touchdown on 13 catches. Now, I'm going to give our defense credit. When we needed stops, we forced stops. Yeah. We got New York to punt the ball twice, which came after we tied the score. And in those two drives, I think it was, if I remember correctly, 31 yards. So that was just enough time to get the ball back and retake the lead in that, if I remember correctly. Right. And then, you guys on Watch Football Weekly and others, kind of criticizing Juice. But hey, like he had a tough assignment. And I felt like he, was a gnat at Malik at times, especially on that final drive of the game, because that would have put them in our territory. So if you actually, and then in that drive too, you saw a defense. You guys referenced this last year, Will Kramer. This is your special word as you get on me about identity. Bend but don't break. So especially right there, but we prevented them from making the big plays. We did get back up to our own 22-yard line, if I remember correctly, but we forced enough pressure on Daniel Jones to get out the pocket, and I can't defend that throw to Malik, but there's still room to grow. But I think that the mistakes that New York made, we kind of covered them. Because if you remember, there was a one time they had to go for 2 after the 3 touchdowns they scored, and that was late in the fourth quarter. So I could understand, especially was it 4th and 4 where they went for it. But I still think they should have took the 3. That's just me. But
Graham Gano was hurt, so their punter was their kicker. And
that's right.
He wasn't good at all. So, but even with that, we still gave up the 3 touchdowns, but still we should have, like, we score any one of those drives, we get a touchdown. And I mean, we're not even talking about this. Then we're actually saying, okay, look at it, because we're doing well. But, we got to put ourselves in better situations. And look, and we're going to positives. Tressway he had the day off. No punts.
Yep.
When's the last time we've been able to say that in a game? I mean, it's been a while. You know what I mean? Then you have obviously the 7 for 7 by Austin Seibert. That's amazing. But another thing that I'm really encouraged about now, and this is going to also be into the negative because there was a penalty on this. Austin Eckler returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Yes, he did. Yep.
You know what I mean? And I mean, obviously, we're so trained that we like. I looked as soon as I saw the penalty, I was like, "Oh, I can't even get excited about this." He looked good. It looked great. And I'm sitting here thinking it's gonna be Jameson Crowder, Zacchaeus, one of these guys. And I'm like, Austin Eckler's back there, and he's doing that.
Well, he did. I remember correctly. He did do some of those in college. I remember correctly.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did a couple times kick return. But I mean, you know, and you speaking of Austin Eckler, he and Brian Robinson, those two, especially, I think are going to be the keys to I think watch this success. They both looked sensational. You know, we know Brian Robinson is number one, and then you know Austin's number two. But I mean, Brian had 17 carries. I don't know, like you said, I don't know too many games when last time Brian had 17 carries in the game.
Right.
I think last time was actually last season. I guess I want to say it was against the Giants, but I think it was week 11. I want to say. But his effectiveness, and as well as Austin Eckler's. I mean, they both looked good. And I think a lot of that we need to give Cliff Kingsbury his props, and really focusing on the run, because New York really doesn't have the greatest run defense,
right? And
that kind of showed. And there's also there's another positive I want to give. I want to actually go back to that crucial stop. I know I touched on it a little bit, but that turnover. So you guys, particularly because you guys have been more watch Football Weekly long, you will, and even Abs at one point. But the emphasis with Dan, he is about creating turnovers.
Yeah.
And it was going into the halftime. I believe the score was 12-9, if I remember correctly. And New York was at their own 26. And they needed, I think it was 4 plays. I remember the commentary crew saying that to get to 35. And that last one was Devin Singletary. But if you remember that play, Juice, he's trailing Singletary and he punched the ball out.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Chin, you know, he got on it, and we, you know, that's what we've been looking for, especially since last season, because we couldn't find.
That's what we thought Forbes was going to be.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, I thought we did. Let me say, we did enough. But in fairness, I'm not going to give us this win because there was a lot of things that were self-inflicted that I thought, especially when in the halftime, we made the adjustments, especially when you're 6 out of those 6 times to the end zone. 3 of them should have at least a touchdown. And Austin, hey, look, it's a great game, but we can't expect this. We can't expect this every game. Offense has to show up. You know, we there are some that have been on JD5's coattails. And, you know, I know he can't block, he can't catch, he can't run. I mean, he can run, but he's not. But he has to kind of take the lead in terms of making plays. You're going to have to find ways to execute. You know, you guys mentioned this, if it wasn't this week, it was last week, about, you know, he's looking in one way and then he's, I got to dash. You know, there's a couple times where I'm like, you know, even if you just make small play, you know, you don't have, it's not about the big gains. It's about making the right smart plays. And I felt like we didn't do that. I felt like we were just doing too much.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, you got to take what the defense gives you. I definitely agree. Instead of trying to make the highlight plays and trying to, you know, dominate all the time, it's just saying, even on that play that he got hit on, Ertz was underneath and he was wide open, albeit it was 3rd down, you know, but you can't go out here and try to be Superman because he got hurt. You know what I mean? And you know, when he got back later, but you got to live to see and play another day, like live to play another down. You got to, you know, I respect you trying to throw it all out there and do all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, you're a skinny guy and your health is imperative. I mean, like we saw, if you go down, it's Jeff Driscoll. So I don't know that I'm as confident in Jeff Driscoll, especially with this offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, shout out to Jaden. He was 23 of 29, 226. But again, like maybe I'm being I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, that's play calling, that's coaching, but I don't know if this is what everyone was expecting. I would expect a guy of his caliber, to, I don't want to say make a play, but 6 of those times something should have went our way. That's just me.
Even one of those times.
Yeah, either one of them. I agree, most definitely. On the New York side, like you said, not having Graham Gano, I think played a factor. I don't know why you had Jamie Gillian out there as a punter, because he definitely, when he did the extra point, it went wide, if I remember correctly, and he didn't attempt another extra point
at all because he was that bad. And that's another reason why we should have they couldn't even kick, and we were shutting them down on defense, but it's frustrating, man.
It was. But also too, and I'm going to also, for New York, their defense was actually quite disappointing, especially when you kept them out the end zone. That's a positive. And you forced the team to kick 7 field goals. Okay.
On most days, that's a success.
Yes. I mean, Jaden Daniels they get sacked 5 times. But they still, I mean, the running area was just the biggest concern. 215 rushing yards allowed on 35 carries.
Yeah.
As you would say, I still have it. Wait a minute. 1 second.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
Yes. Is the truth. I mean, you're absolutely right. You can't, honestly, we'll give the Giants credit for stopping us each time in the red zone, but let's be really honest, man. We stopped ourselves. You talk about those 5 penalties in the red zone. We beat ourselves in that game. Spotted them the 3 touchdowns. Like you said, Neighbors had a great game, over 120 yards and a touchdown. So Daniel Jones had his type of day. We should have destroyed these guys if we score more than any touchdowns in the red zone. So we got to get that stuff together. Right. But even to the point of the Giants, man, if you look at it, we made them look good. I mean, I don't even want to really give them credit and say they looked good. We made them look good. We gave them those holes. Our secondary, yes, I'll give St. Juice that credit for the punch out. But let's be honest, man, he was looking rough. I mean, he was the best of what we had, but that's not saying much. You know what I mean? Right. So we have a lot that we need to work on. But at the same time, in the NFL, I don't care how it gets done. Sometimes better to be lucky than good. Let's just get the dub. And, and I always think that, hey, Graham Gano, he owed us one. Used to play for us. And so took him out the first play of the game. It was like, all right, great. Thank you, man. We're even.
Yep. And I did want to actually get your thoughts on that last play. Malik dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had ran that back, do you trust him in that same situation again?
Absolutely. I mean, he's been catching everything the entire day. He has been the only real. If you look at it outside of the run game, he's really their only source of offense outside.
Which is extremely weird.
Right.
I mean, Wandell Robinson, they're like, that's no.
None of those other guys were really doing any sizable damage, but he was hitting. So you go to the guy that's been dominating, man. When you go to dance, you dance with the one that brought you. He's your guy. Just like at the end of the Eagles game where they lost, that you go to Saquon. He's your guy. Yeah. The fact that he missed it, well, I mean, how often will that happen in reality? It's not going to happen that often.
It's not. I mean, I remember Mark Andrews. I'll never forget. It was actually on my birthday a couple of years ago. We're in Pittsburgh, and we're down 1, and they want to go for 2,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And Lamar swings out to his right. Mark Andrews, ball slips out his hand. Game over. Big Ben was actually, and Big Ben was still the starter, if I remember correctly. So,
Oh wow. Yeah.
So, I mean that was pretty much the game. If I had to give the Commanders overall grade, I'm being nice. I'm being honest when I say it too. I'm giving them a C.
It's about a D plus. Yeah.
A D. I actually agree with that. I can see a D. But again, it's week 2, still early this season.
True.
I am concerned. We got to play Joe Burrow.
Monday night, after they just lost to the Chiefs.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yeah, they definitely be off the book. But I still don't trust Cincy. I think that they just got a lot going on. Jamar Chase and his contract dispute, T. Higgins, getting back out there. Not having Joe Mixon there.
Yeah.
I still think they're trying to figure that out. I think they got a stellar offensive line. I like Orlando Brown Jr., as you guys said last night on the Watch Football Weekly. But
it's your boy.
I'm not a believer in them. And then Joe coming off his injury too.
Yeah.
I think they're another team that needs more time to figure things out. So
perfect time to play us.
I'll be honest. I think Washington will hold. I think we'll hold our weight. I think it's going to be like. I see it being like 24-17. Washington, yes.
Nice.
Because I feel like for me the same thing is even with Kansas. When I watched the Kansas City game, they don't have a good run defense neither. And with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, if you could create holes for them, it's going to be a long day for Cincy. And on top of that too, look at I feel like if we get our passing game more developed with under Cliff, I think it should be better. I'm actually a little surprised our passing game has not thrived the way I thought it would be with Cliff. Maybe
what do you think that is?
Well, when you're in a new system like Cliff's compared to Scott Turner's,
it's very different. Yeah,
I think it's very different.
It's a different quarterback though. Jaden didn't know Scott.
That too. That's fair. And I think Cliff is. I think this offense passing wise will get better under Cliff.
It's gonna. Yeah, it already looks somewhat better. I mean, you're getting guys the ball. I mean, but I don't know. I agree with you. Their rush defense is struggling. I think they gave up like 90 to Pacheco or something like that. They gave up 100 some odd last couple weeks. So we can really hit that. But again, we got to be able to score in the red zone.
Yeah.
My concern in this game is the same concern that I've had each week this season. Their wide receivers against our secondary. And after the first week, I was kind of encouraged because I thought our pass rush was going to get to them. Maybe we can shut them down. But what we allowed Daniel Jones to do, if we give that time to Burrow, and if they have a healthy Higgins, you know what I mean? And they got the boy, who's the guy from Miami, the tight end that went to
Gesicki.
They got
Mike
that
Gesicki.
guy.
And then this other kid, Andreas Iggy's Saga, something like that.
Yeah.
Because he had yeah.
I'm concerned about that. I'm very concerned about how our pass defense is going to do. Look, we need our special teams to show up. We need our run game to show up. We need to play complementary football and keep their offense off the field. I mean,
I agree.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be definitely interesting. But I want to kind of dive more into that in our one final thought, ladies and gentlemen. As myself and Sean, we talked about this before we started the show, just from where we've been from last season, and look at these first 2 weeks of the season. Our overall thoughts. I want to dive a little deeper into that with one final thought. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back.
thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Ladies and gentlemen, one final thought, and let's talk about it, Sean. You look at these first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
I'll give you the floor. Just what have been your thoughts?
I mean, I think the first thing is, we all came into the season with, high expectations. We honestly at the base of it, we all just expected things to be a little different than they were last year. And in all truth and honesty, through these first couple weeks, I don't feel there's much different from last year. Yes, the faces are different, the names are different. We got a lot more attention. There's a lot more positive view in Washington, but still we're having the same errors. We're having the same problems, dealing with, getting a kicker, not scoring in the red zone, not being able to stop people, to bend but don't break stuff. Like, we were supposed to have been improved at this point. And I understand that it's week 2, but I guess I expected more. And maybe that's the fault of us as the fan, where we thought that just because you get in a new head coach, a new owner, new players and everything, things are supposed to immediately change, take effect, all of those things, when in truth, a lot of this stuff can take some time, and you're not going to see it that early. So I'm not trying to be overly pessimistic and people think I'm cursing them and I'm being Debbie Downer and whatever. But no, I'm just looking at it realistically. Things don't look that much different. Everything looks different as far as faces and names and all that. But the play on the field is the same type of thing we've seen last year. So, but we did beat the Giants. So that's not something we used to do. I'll say that.
That is true. My overall thoughts is I kind of echo those same sentiments. But the one thing I will say is that there is something that's called patience as a virtue.
Absolutely.
I think the problem, and this is in sports in general, but more it's a society thing. I call us the microwave generation. We expect instant results. When you put something like a Hot Pocket or a waffle in the microwave and you want it instantly cooked.
Yep.
When we got rid of that man as owner and Snyder, everybody thought that was a change.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Right.
When you look at when there's new ownership, you're practically inheriting what was from last year.
Exactly.
And on top of that, you're even within that before new ownership came here, there was a 4-year plan that was given to us, and in 4 years, we're going to do this. And in those 4 years, I didn't see anything. So I think where we are right now, I think we're back at square one. However, and this is fair to say, if we're going to hold, because I feel like the quarterback last year who's in Seattle, okay, in my opinion, we had disagreements on that. Not you and I, but there's been disagreements. I believe Sam Howell was scapegoated for Washington's problems.
Absolutely.
By default, and I stand by this, JD5 has to be held to the same timeline as Sam Howell. Because we didn't give Sam no grace. We just traded him. And I understand there were some things, you mentioned following him in North Carolina. There are some tendencies he falls into. But I'm looking at the first 2 weeks. I don't see anything that sweeps you off your feet. I see a kid, he hasn't had any turnovers. That's a plus. Yeah. But I'm seeing he's kind of falling into tendencies I saw at LSU. I feel like that at this stage, especially, I know there's growth. And the rookies are going to have their moments. But Sam was essentially a rookie last year. And Sam went through 2 offensive coordinators.
Right.
Last year and the year before. Right. We only started 1 game that previous season. So I just think that I blame fans because fans have these unrealistic expectations, and also too, we can be frustrated.
The media too. You always talk about it.
You know, we can be frustrated, and I'm going to also reference this when talking about John Harbaugh in the Ravens recap.
Oh yeah,
it's number one, I don't really know what our identity is. Just these first 2 weeks, like I think by week 6, we should have an idea what this team is going to be.
Yeah,
I expect this team to be competitive, but I'm also seeing like a coaching staff. I don't think it's really holding guys accountable. I thought guys would have gotten better. I'm seeing guys like I talked about this earlier. Oh, just do whatever you want on the field. You know, and Emmanuel Forbes. Me personally, I just don't think. Again, out of Mississippi State, I still think there's growth. I think there's still hope for him. I don't know if it's just system. I don't know if it's style of play. Maybe he's better playing in the slot. Something, but it's something that's not transitioning. Jamin Davis, you know, we would have thought we've seen growth. They didn't pick up his 5th year on his rookie contract. You told me that. Yeah. Like, you got it. Like, there's a lot of things, and now when you're now under new ownership, new coaching, this is almost kind of like, well, this is a tryout year almost. Let's just see who's going to be here, because I do expect by next off season, I definitely expect some changes.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I'll be honest. Will mentioned this on last night's show. A free agent is not fixing this. They're not. I mean, if you want to get an Xavier Howard or J.C. Jackson, by all means. But I think you got to go with what you have and give them confidence. And like I said, we've had our moments. We've had good moments, but we've had bad ones. But I think it's more for me. I think it's more with the fans, if anything, because it's like, well, last year you had all these issues. It really goes back to when we had, because you and I had arguing with this with Carson. This where it really starts. And then now this year, everyone's kind of looking like, oh no, just give them time. They'll be okay.
Right.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. We didn't do this last year. Yeah. Why are we switching up? So that's my one final thought. So Cincinnati on Monday, I believe we'll be okay. I think so. You have a final score for that game?
I still think our secondary's got some work to do. I got 31-17 Cincinnati.
Okay. Say I'm sticking with 24-17. I don't know. It's just something about Cincy. I'm not keen on that right there.
Could it be you have a personal investment in this game, being a Ravens fan?
No, because I have Joe Burrow in one of my fantasy dynasty leagues, and he hasn't been producing. But no, I mean,
neither is Patrick Mahomes. I got him in 2.
I don't know what this. I don't know. It's just been a weird first 2 weeks.
It really has.
But I think what's going to make or break this game, secondary. But we're not producing on offense. We got to come out and punch Cincy in the mouth first. We got to be aggressive. If we're not coming out aggressive, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, and we're not winning the game if we're giving up. If we got 10 penalties, I'll tell you that now. No, it's not going to win. So and
I definitely expect, and also too, I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the Ravens have dealt with this, and maybe a couple of the teams. We didn't get called for the go formation. Washington, I don't recall.
I think all of our stuff was holding, false start and stuff like that. I'm not.
Yeah, and some of the calls have been very questionable. You know, some of them are bogus holding calls. Some of them are ticky tack. I just want consistency, but you're not going to get that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Be tuned in for future episodes of the podcast. Be tuned in for the Ravens recap against that team in Las Vegas. But before we go, Sean, do you have anything coming down the pipe?
I believe so. The ladies' show will return next Thursday. All four of them are going to finally get together. And I believe Let's Talk College Football is going to be Saturday at, I believe, 11 a.m. Eastern. And Washington Football Roundtable will be, it's going to be Sunday. I don't know if it'll be Sunday morning because the game, this is a game on Monday. Mm-hmm. But normally we do it around Sunday morning, so maybe we'll just keep it there. So It should be Sunday morning for Washington Football Roundtable. So tune in, man. We got a whole bunch of stuff going out there, man, and a lot of clips and videos and things are coming out. So definitely tune in and enjoy it, man.
Absolutely. And then what about you and Nick? As the truth be told, is that still going to be a thing during the NFL season, or is that more just an off-season thing?
So he's got, the baseball season still going on. So he works at Wrigley. Right. So he's still doing that. Because he still has the roundtable on Tuesday nights. He actually was not able to do that last week. So that one I've tabled it right now. I mean, it's just finding the time to do it is the hard part. But and I definitely liked it. I know the next topic that I was going to hit was anxiety, especially in men. And, is that something that we feel we can talk about, things like that. And then I want to hit subjects like that, depression, and a lot of the stuff that I've been kind of dealing with. Like I want to hit those,
for sure,
and bring them to the forefront. Especially open up that conversation in men, because I think that's something that we've all kind of, by nature and society, been kind of tamper that down and hide that and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, yep. I like to be a part of that. Let me know when you're going to do that.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to have. Definitely,
absolutely
keen on that conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. But be tuned in for those episodes. Like I said, WNBA playoffs officially start this Sunday. Tonight was the last night of the regular season, and unfortunately, the Washington Mystics, they won, but needed the Atlanta Dream and the Chicago Sky to lose. But the Atlanta Dream won, so the Atlanta Dream get the 8th seed. So man, but hey, listen,
it was basketball.
It was tough, but I applaud the ladies for facing the adversity that they did. It was tough. Yeah. So definitely tune in for that. Oh, also to the Washington Mystics media, ladies and gentlemen, I have it uploaded. They actually are doing it tomorrow. I'm actually surprised. Like give these, can we at least have a day to process?
Right.
Go right into it to the next day. Like, damn.
Give him a little chance to breathe, man.
Breathe something. But yeah, also Maryland football recap, tune in for that. Yes. The Ravens and we got some other stuff coming up. I'm working on 2 interview requests. Need to reach out to those, so stay tuned in for those episodes, and gentlemen. But that's not for me talking. I'm gonna leave Sean Spencer's YouTube channel in the description. Please check it out. I'm telling you, gentlemen, it's a lot of great content, especially Watch Football Weekly, Roundtable, college football. Now, I need just clarify me for this one. Is it you have college football update, or is it just Let's Talk College Football?
So there's 2. There's one that's during the week that's really a recap, that's college football update. But then the one on Saturday, the one Saturday morning, we're previewing all the games. That's Let's Talk College Football.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So definitely tune in for that. Tune in for that. And hey, you might see me on one of his shows, one of these soon. So hey,
you were on the season opener for Let's Talk College Football, and you were on last week's version of Let's Talk Football. So we get you in every time we can, man.
Absolutely. But ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great weekend. Do something fun. Stay safe. And left hand up, baby.
Let's go.
Peace, ladies and gentlemen.
I know that loving me wasn't always easy. And you felt like walking away when you couldn't see me. Felt like all your hope was gone. But I'm right here on bended knee. Please be my wife and stay with me.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything you do.